The nature of the Great Seal is so mysterious that some believe that it came from a supernatural force. An account recorded by Dr. Robert Hieronymus in his book, Founding Fathers' Secret Societies, says that the Great Seal was given to Thomas Jefferson by a mysterious cloaked figure. The account reads that Jefferson told a strange story. A man approached him wearing a black cloak that practically covered him, face and all, and told him that he, the strange visitor, knew they were trying to devise a seal, and that he had a design which was appropriate and meaningful.
Jefferson, of course, looked at it, according to this story, and said, "This is it. This is it." He knew it was it, and it was right. So he supposedly came running back into whatever, whether it was a tent or whatever it was, and he showed it to other individuals, and he told them about, he met this person outside. Of course, they went outside to go to find the guy, and he's gone. So supposedly we'll never find out who designed the Great Seal of the United States.
While Dr. Hieronymus admits that he is skeptical about such stories, there are others who claim to believe them to this day. Perhaps it has something to do with John Adams, who was on the first seal committee with Thomas Jefferson. According to the written account, John Adams was there when this bizarre event took place. Oddly enough, the Adams Memorial in Washington, D.C. is adorned with this mysterious cloaked figure. Perhaps it's just a coincidence.
The American $1 bill is full of magical symbolism. Many people know about the magical significance of the design of the Great Seal of the United States, yet they only know half the truth. Well, 13 steps in the pyramid. The truncated pyramid with a capstone floating above is also a symbolic merging of the microcosm and the macrocosm. The base of the pyramid represents the microcosm, or human, and the eye in the capstone represents the macrocosm, or universe. The same eye is found on statues of Buddha as his third eye. This is the eye of Horus, the all-seeing celestial eye.
Are the Illuminati, with their worship of astrology, their obsession, their fixation with all things Egyptian, still performing occult ritualistic sacrifices of as above, so below connotations?
As above, so below is repeatedly symbolized in esoteric art and a variety of symbols, the most basic of which is a triangle pointing upward or above. This is accompanied by a second triangle pointing downward, below. When combined, they form a hexagram, commonly recognized as the Star of David, one of the most dominant symbols in the occult. Removing the base of the triangles, one can see the outline for the square and compass of Freemasonry. This next image shows what Manly Hall called the God of Reflections. He is called the Ancient One, perched over a pool of water that reflects his image. Notice also how the placement of his arms and the crown upon his head form two triangles like a Star of David, while on his chest is a Maltese cross positioned upward and then reflected again down below. Esoterics believe this same principle of reflection can be found in nature, with bodies of water providing a mirror as a picture of the Hermetic maxim. With this in mind, consider the placement of the reflecting pools in our nation's capital. Before the Washington Monument, the U.S. Capitol, the Lincoln Memorial, and the Supreme Court.
Thing that I had heard, that this goes back before even Lionel Chetwin, that Chris Carter was at a cocktail party, and he felt very out of place, and apparently he was at a tuxedo away in the corner, and the psychic came over to him and said, whatever you're working on is going to make you a ton of money. And that was just before he did the X-Files. Well, that psychic I talked to, I go, well, what were you doing at the Hollywood party? She goes, I was hired by the CIA to go to parties and then just go home and email what I talked about. So the CIA has been tracking Hollywood parties since the 80s in order to determine, because, you know, Hollywood films are a...
They set the agenda.
They set a foreign policy, sort of. I mean,
no, it's a projection. It's America's dominance. They admit it's a lot of it's Hollywood.
Right. And so they want to make sure that all the producers and the writers, that nobody's thinking anything so radical or doing a movie that will completely undermine their foreign policy plans.